Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Playtest panel. I'm Andrew. Here's Nathan and Blake, and this is an episode 4.
We did it.
We did
Four
it.
episodes.
We did it.
And Andrew did an intro.
Yeah.
Wow, good job.
Ooh.
Good job. How's everyone's week been? What have you been working on? Been productive? Any exciting things we can share or tell about our own personal projects?
I got enough for the next exam showcase, so I've put Soul Seeker on hold, but I was looking around at your devlogs, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Not the fact that like you guys have like a following or anything. I think it's really cool that you guys have this history of your games.
Mhm.
And I did look back at your first videos, and it looks like both of you have a bunch of privated old videos that is not on the channel anymore. So,
What
so
will make
it
you
was-
say that? What are you talking about?
both the videos were like, welcome back. And I was like,
Right,
am I missing
okay.
something? So I wanted to ask, like, how did you guys start off when you guys began?
Doing devlogs?
Yes.
Blake, you start while I look up my channel and see what I did.
So my channel was originally like a filmmaking special effects channel way back in the day. I was like posting like short films and stuff like that. And then I just like fell into games after a while, and I just sort of continued to use the channel to make some really crappy devlogs to begin with. I think my first couple were literally just me like screen recording Unity and talking over it. Eventually I learned how to, talk to camera and edit a bit better. But yeah, there's quite a few of my videos are not up anymore because the quality was not particularly high in the early days. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where you can't really expect to be amazing off the bat, and you might be ashamed of your early work, and maybe it is beneficial to people out there to see that early stuff. But for me, I quite like the position that my channel's in with where my content and the quality level is at.
So for me, mine kind of started off, my very first video, it's called Walk, and it's where I filmed my friend's younger brother. And at first, it was like do a Minecraft walk, because it was back in the day when we all loved Minecraft. By the end of it, because we were filming it while we like walked to like a local shop, and then we're walking back to his place, and so we're filming it, kind of making the story. And by the end, I was like, "Now we're just gonna have it so you get hit by a car." And we like timed it so that like when you crossed the road and a car came in, I would pan across the car and then added a sound effect of like a car crash. And like looking back, I'm like, that was such a good accident. And then I'm counting the videos now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got about 11 videos are just Minecraft videos. So I did a lot of I did an update when this will age me. The second video uploaded is called the new Minecraft 1.1 update.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I remember that.
Well, I was like, there's different eggs for spiders. Oh my gosh, look at all these different like mob eggs. And then I did a survival video, and then I did a skyblock with a friend. And then me and my friends, it's funny, I had my own server. My friends who played on it together, it was all my private server, but it was a bucket server. So like I added all these plugins and made it really cool. And there's things I still miss. Like I had a plugin where like if you chop any part of a tree, the whole tree falls down instantly. Such a good quality of life plugin. But we did a Hunger Games episode where all my friends did Hunger Games, and then I filmed it, edited it, and put it on my channel. And then I joined this public Minecraft server called Previlcraft. And it turns out, how do I even explain this? Without knowing, someone else that I went to school with, this was their server. So I thought someone saw my channel and was like, hey, come do stuff on my server because you got a cool YouTube channel. And then they freaked me out one day being like, you go to this school. This is your actual name, isn't it? And I was freaking out. I was like, is it on my YouTube? Is it on my Minecraft? Like, well, what's going on? And they're like, jokes, I'm like three years above you, but I like your videos and stuff. And so I actually did, I remember really big back then, it was almost like skits or stories in Minecraft. And everyone was using, I forgot what it was called, but it was like the renderers that made it look all realistic. Back then it was something different. It was like Optifine or whatever. And so I was doing these short stories about these characters, and these are all just friends that I played with.
Oh,
And
like wait, like machinimas.
machinimas. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
machinimas.
yeah.
And I do all the voices. And I don't want to watch this video right. Maybe in the future we'll do a watch party or something. We can watch my really cringy videos. But yeah, I did 2 machinimas. And then I went back to doing like gameplay stuff. But yeah, that was where I got. I guess yeah, Minecraft Machinima is where I got started with my channel. And then I went off and I basically played like Black Ops 2 came out, so I did some stuff on that. There was like an app called Contract Killer that for some reason was on Mac, so I downloaded it and did like 2 episodes of that. And then I also did Bioshock, and then a bunch of my classes at the time at school required videos. So I did like a bunch of, instead of having to do tests or presentations, I was playing with Flash. And so I would do these like Flash animations of like, what is a cell? What is an atom? And like do all these like fancy warp things. And then I did random skits. I did I did lots of, yeah, it was like very random, very sporadic. I mean, this is back in 2013. And so this stuff was me just being creative. It's like pure Nathan. It's like, one day I'll be a YouTuber. But right now I'm going to just make random stuff. Like I did like a Slenderman playthrough. I did my 2 proudest videos, I think, and they've aged now, so it's like not as funny and cool. But for a very long time, I watched a lot of what's he called? He did lots of GTA videos. He still does them as well. But they were like funny videos, and I did a GTA video with my friend, where we just like went all around and did stuff. And I instead of it just being like a single recording, that's when I like would splice things in and start doing memes, and that's I think where I learned a lot of my editing skills about timing and pacing and comedy and stuff. And then the second one I did was a Battlefield 4 session with my friends, and then. I'm just going through. Like, when did you start uploading, Blake?
Oh, I guess it would have been 2017, maybe.
Okay, yeah, because mine's like 2012, 2013.
Right.
I've got some old ones. I think my oldest video is probably like 2016. I've got a bunch of old animations I made for League of Legends. I've got a fake mockumentary on my YouTube channel.
That's so good.
It has 17K views.
Wow.
It's just sitting there. I've never really privated it because I was like, I'm happy with that. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, but then for me, I did like a few. It's funny. Like I got into After Effects, so I started doing like different intros for my channel. No videos, just like intro tile sequences that I'd upload and be like, "Look how cool this is." But then in 2015, I started working on a game called Arrow Tempest, which is basically, how do I even explain this? It's like a rage game, a really crap game. Basically, all it was that like I'd give you a time and a number to reach, and you had to press the arrows on your keyboard as fast as you can to reach the like limit. And I actually ended up putting that on Steam Greenlight. And so I had to make a trailer and stuff for it. It was, look, the reception was not good. Everyone's like, this is a Flash game. Why is this coming on Steam? This game's trash. And looking back, it was trash. But I remember this is the first game I kind of properly made. I had friends playtest it, and I was really hopeful. Like, it's very basic, but like, it's just a fun game. And I would probably put it up for free. And so I did some trailers for that. And then I did a few vlogs. This was in 2016, where like, vlogging was really big. So it's just me vlogging myself. Very boring. And then I finished up by, again, the vlogs, and then I did a video on, I think it's a trailer for one of my few itch games in 2017. And then there was a break for 2 years. No uploads. Nothing.
That sounds like me.
Yeah. And then I came back and I started doing vlogging. And at first it was very like, I could tell you, the first one's called Back. The second one's called Thoughts. The third one's called Test. And then, yeah, I did some like meme stuff. Like my nephew came over. I did like some After Effects stuff for him that he really enjoyed. I made him fly up to the sky, and it was like a 6-year-old. That's like the coolest thing ever. So I was the cool uncle. And then I'm just going through my whole YouTube history now. I'm sorry. I have to just tell you, like, because it's funny looking back at this, being like, oh, it wasn't all just YouTube game dev stuff. It was actually a whole bunch of different things. I did a meme video because the town I lived in, they were changing the main city center road from two-way roads to one-way. And the council didn't tell anybody about this. They just started doing roadworks, and then just traffic ensued. And so I don't know if you guys know the meme of like that guy speaks different languages, he's got like no teeth, and he's been interviewed by a guy and he has that really like funny laugh. I reckon if I showed you a picture of what he looks like, I wonder if I can find a um but I did that, and then what happened was, I think what started my game dev journey was I got a Vive headset. And once
Oh
I got the
yes.
Vive headset, the first one is I just basically did devlogs or regular vlogs, vlogs really, of like VR prompt, VR prep desk cleaning. So like setting up my desk, setting up the VR headset, and the second one is people
Yeah, that's the
reacting
one
to
I
like my
watched.
friends playing my like really crappy Unity games. I remember the first game I made, or one of the first ones I made, was that you're in a room with a bomb, and the game was going to be that you could either figure out what wire to cut, or you could put it like in the pot plant, or put it in the cupboard, or throw it out the window, and whatever like choices you made would affect the ending that you had, which is a great idea. But at the time, I had no idea what I was doing, so I never got finished. Um, and then like I did videos because I started working, so I was like, doing vlogs on like how to do game dev and work at the same time. Um, and then like I did two more just like VR stuff. I was really big into VR, and then like a video on like game textures, and then what was it? So this is 2019. Um, and eventually it went into what I guess I would call my bigger. Aside from Coca Loca, this is like the longest I'd worked on a project, which it's called Fun Factory. It was like very similar. Blake, you showed a game where like you are a factory worker and you're like processing. I mean, yours is a lot creepier with like baby dolls and like pieces of people's limbs and stuff. But mine was
Yep.
that same core aspect, but it was like packages that were like pristine and all good or wrecked. And so you'd like sort them through. And the joke I kind of wanted, like the main menu is very much like a Centrelink, where like all the employees have been fired. You got like a single monitor that's like, AI. This was before AI was even a thing, but the joke was like, AI's taken over like this business. And so like your boss was this AI that basically would fire you at the end. And like, again, this comes again to like Coco Loco, was that like you'd work for a day, and then after work, you would have the money that you earn, and you'd like, using VR, using your haptics and stuff, you pick up the money and put it on the certain things that you wanted. So you have like a bill for rent, so you pick up the money and you put it on the bill, and that would mean it was paid. Or like if your kid had like tuition, like you'd do that. And I was really big into Papers, Please as well, and I love the mechanic of like figuring out how to survive financially. Also being a broke uni student, I was like, this speaks to me on a deeper level. And then after that, yeah, it was usually just sporadic vlogs. I did a few tutorials on the Half-Life Alex. Again, I was massive into VR. I still kind of am, but it's definitely died off now. But lots of VR stuff, and then lots of different. Yeah, I did lots of like I basically just started doing devlogs. And I'd do them sporadically. Like I'd do like 3 or 2 videos, and then drop off for 6 to 8 months, and then do 2 to 3 videos, and then drop off again. And then I think my biggest viral, like all those devlogs, they were getting between, like 60 to like 100, 200 views. But then I did a video where I was, and this is funny that this is brought up in this episode. I did a Unity versus Unreal. Which should you choose? And that got me over 1K views, and that was the first time I ever cracked 1K. And this is before working for any YouTubers or having any sort of like, this is me by myself. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this game dev thing that's got legs on it. All right, cool. And then that's when I started, doing more like talking head videos and really focusing on the whole game dev aspect of it. I think like I definitely after 2019, I knew I wanted to do game dev and do videos on game dev. But it wasn't until I kind of figured out the talking head video thing and was like, oh, it's especially in YouTube, right? Like you can, I think showing my progress was really good. But for me, as like because part of it, right, is that you want some success on your channel. Otherwise, it's a bit unmotivating sometimes to upload a video and get 5 views, and you're like, oh, okay, no one cares about my game. But when I figured out, oh, okay, if I do topics people care about, or share things people want to know, um, then people come and watch. And then basically it's just evolved from there. So, um, did Unity Unreal. Then shortly after, I did Blender versus Maya. And then to the typical, do game devs need degrees, and start doing more vlogs for Coco Loco. And like, I noticed that, like, oh, if I do devlog, I get like 200 views. But if I do writing ideas for my indie game, you get like double the views. Um, and then yeah, I guess it just evolved from there. I kept doing Coco Loco devlogs and talking head videos, and now here we are. This is where we are today. That was a very long-winded story explanation. We're already 15 minutes into recording. I'm so sorry, but like, yeah, like that's the history of my YouTube channel.
I'd like to move the bat onto Blake because I know you were uber consistent for a while. So you were doing or once a week or even like once every 2 weeks. How'd you do
Yes.
that? And what was going through you when you
Was
doing
that full time as well?
I think it was a bit of both. I think the bulk of it was when I was doing game dev full time. So this would have been 2019 when my games were starting to get a little bit of traction through itch and things like that. And I got to a point where I'd left my job and I was doing game dev full time, and I was putting a lot of work into my YouTube channel, and I got to the point where I was able to do one video a week. I don't really know, looking back, how I managed that, because like balancing making a game and doing devlogs is a hell of a lot of work. Especially when I was making Sleigh Bells. That was a 5-week project, and I took that game from basically nothing to a released project in 5 weeks, while also somehow finding the time to write and film and edit and release devlog every single week. So, I mean, I was a lot younger, I guess, back then. I could just sort of, just head down, focus. There was just, nothing else going on in my life. But I
Do you
think
it was
that
like
was...
a drive thing, or like an interest that, like, I don't know, was your mind just in a place where you could just do it all?
I mean, I think I was just at the point where I was doing things and they were kind of working out, and I just was like, just wanted to just see how far I could take it. I was young and didn't really sort of have any, I don't know, I guess there wasn't any expectations there. And I feel like now that there are more expectations on the things that I make, that I do find it more difficult to regularly put things out. But I don't know, there's something about just putting something out every week. Just, I think like it really helped the motivation on the game as well. And especially because I was like constantly getting feedback from people watching the devlogs and giving me feedback and giving me ideas. And I don't know, I think it all just like really, it fed into each other very well. Like the game fed into the devlogs fed back into the game. And I think that it was really just that cycle that, helped Sleigh Bells pop off when it released as much as it did.
You've also got the most consistent views. I know, Nathan, you've had a very up and down, but every single one of yours is consistently between
Consistently
2K
low?
to 5K. Oh, I mean, I think it's good because like I don't have anything like that. I think it's really cool. And you've got like very consistent, like 2,000 is not low, I don't think. Like 2,000 minimum, 1,000 between to 5,000.
And these videos are also 5 years old, and on the main menu for Sleigh Bells, I have a link to the making of playlist. And so a lot of those views have come in like, over the years as people have played the game. And like you look at, I think the first devlog for Sleigh Bells has 8,500 views. Whereas,
That's smart though. That's so smart to put a link in the game for the devlogs. Because like you were saying before, it's like cross-pollination. Like I never,
Right.
I always think about like making videos that relate to the game so we'll go buy the game, but I never think about the whole like, we'll go back and watch the videos as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of the, like at the time I wasn't getting a huge amount of views. Like maybe a video would get 300 to 400 views, like in the the weeks after it came out. Like nothing significant. Um, but I feel like it's just over time they've just fed into each other. Like the videos have probably popped up on some people's recommended feeds, and they found the game through that, and then that's helped boost the game, and then people find the videos through the game, and that helps boost the videos. Um, but yeah, I don't think many people were really doing that back in 2019. I could be wrong. But I mean, even now, I don't see a huge amount of people putting links to their channels like directly in the game. That's something that like I really think more people should do, especially because like so many people, do game dev and YouTube now, and I guess a lot of people will like link it in the description of the game. But I don't know, having a link directly in the game just seems like a bit of a no-brainer to me.
I might do that then. I might very much do that.
So, Andrew, what's your plan then? You want to do devlogs, you want to work on your game. Are you thinking of doing something almost like weekly, monthly? Is there a style of devlog you want to do as well? Like, I know Blake's devlogs are like peak, so you want to copy that one to one basically, but you
I've looked
can't
at
all make PS1 horror games, unfortunately.
I've looked at Blake Stars, and I think my games don't really lend to that, especially that quick one. I think it's crazy that you can do these very quick, honestly, like 5 minute videos. I couldn't do that because I, I feel like when I make a video, I like kind of plan big. Currently, I don't know how long it's gonna be, but I'm going to make it a multi-part series, going through the old version of Soul Seeker because it's nowhere, no one knows anything about it. So it'd be fascinating to sort of go through this old game that didn't do very well during uni, and then do a second part, which would be just probably just as long, maybe about like 15-minute video. I would say just about. And then after that, depending on how I feel or what I work on, I wanted to either do like sort of devlogs, shorter like Blake style, like introducing a certain mechanic and then making a video around it, or like make longer form videos based on my older games I've done, and possibly on other people's if I run out of ideas or content to make videos on. But honestly, I'm not really too sure right now. I just want to get sort of this video, I'd say, I guess, a mini series out first, and then sort of see from there. I think I have an interesting story to tell, so I want to make it sort of like give it sort of like a story feeling, kind of. I don't know, like
a narrative, yeah?
like a narrative in a video, right? So I'm not sure how it work, but I'm just kind of excited to do something new, and sort of introduce some people to this older game that I've had cooking for a long time.
You say the game didn't do very well, but you did manage to get it into a pretty big game festival a few years ago.
I mean, like, yeah, it was cool, but I mean, getting into festivals is as easy as applying to it and then getting it. So I would say it did well. It did well for the people who played it, and they just never came back. So I would say that's not doing well, because if you're putting it in front of someone, you're hoping to at least like gain some following out of it. I feel like Soul Seeker never really got around to that. I got like maybe some interest when I put a few shorts out on Soul Seeker. I never really intended to keep it going, because I wanted to just test out shorts and make some shorts on Soul Seeker. It did okay and got some following. So I think Soul Seeker much more lends itself, rather than people wanting to play it, people want to see a narrative around it. So I think sort of, if I'm not going to finish the game, I should just make a devlog on it.
I have a question, Blake. When you were making your devlogs back in the day, what was a week's process like? Were you working on the game for a part of it and then recording yourself working on it, and then you made a script or, a story around that? Or like, because for me, why I've struggled to do devlogs is, well, two reasons. One is usually the quantity. I feel like I never have a full week's worth of content for a video. Or I'm just too burnt out. Like, when you do that so often. or I will have over a month's worth of content that's too big, but then to do 2 videos by the time, like I've maybe filmed 3 or 4 devlogs that I've never put out because by the time I finish editing, like there's so much more I need to add for like context because I'm like, oh, actually, that's not worth it anymore because I've just basically reworked that character model or something else. So I'm curious to know how you've in the past at least found it productive to do devlogs. And maybe Andrew, you can think of ways that like when you start working on the game, how you're going to make devlogs as well. Because obviously I have a process of how I do talking head videos, how we film playtest panel as well. There's like a process for that, but I've never personally found a process I'm happy with when it comes to working on a game and also like recording myself. My biggest thing now is I'm basically recording everything, and then when the game's finished, I'm gonna do a giant video. Like I'm at that point now where I can't do devlogs anymore, just because. Yeah, I don't know. It's too sporadic for me. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to think back about 5 years because it's been quite a while since I was in that mindset. But from what I can remember, I think Saturday mornings was my upload day. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was Saturday mornings. And so, yeah, I would get a video uploaded and then I'd go straight back to work on the game. I'd probably work right through the weekend. Then I think I would get to around about, I think it was Thursday. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I'm incorrect on that. I would record on a Saturday because that's when the house was had nobody else in it. That's when I could just not have to worry about anyone hearing me repeating the same line 17 times in a row to get it right. And then I would edit. I guess through the weekend, and I think editing. I think I got it down to about a day and a half by the end, but I think, in the beginning it was significantly longer, and every video I've made in the year since has been like, at least a week of editing, it seems. So I did manage to back then get in a rhythm of just, knowing, how to very quickly get these videos done. But yeah, then once it was uploaded, just straight back to work on the game. I don't think I was really thinking about how it was going to translate to the video because I was really just winging everything back then. I was like 20, I think. I was just flying by the seat of my pants basically, and then I would get to like 3 days before I'd want to upload. I'd write a quick script in like half a day, record that Saturday morning when the house was empty, and just repeat that process until the game was done basically. So I really started on that with one of my previous games called Dead County, which is still available on itch, but it's like the quality is not that good. So I've like hidden it from my main page, but if you have the link you can still play it. And that's where the devlog started. I think there's like a pretty comprehensive devlog series on that game from beginning to end. I don't think they were weekly because that was sort of, I was working on that game in my transition from, having a regular job and then going into full-time game development. But yeah, Sleigh Bells was really the one where I was doing it weekly. You can watch the creation of that game from basically day one right up until release, and then the big update I did a couple of weeks after release. And I sort of like, in that time I had like Markiplier play the game, so I think my reaction to like that happening is in the final video in that series. So yeah, it's a bit of a process. I didn't really know what I was doing. I think maybe my problem now is that I overthink it too much. Back then I was just, going with the flow. I had to get a video out. I would just, scrape whatever I could together to get it done. And I kind of wish I could get back to that.
Do you think you could do that again with Wolves Den, or do you think you need shorter projects to do sort of that same thing of like uploading weekly and then releasing something in basically a month?
Possibly. Wolf's Den is a game that, is very sandbox driven. So weekly devlogs are possible, I would say, just because adding in even one feature can significantly change the way the game works. But I feel like if you're making a game that's very linear, which I was doing with Sleigh Bells, but I feel like if you're making a bigger game like I am now, and it's also a very linear experience, one, you're going to ruin a bunch of stuff in your devlogs while you're making it, and two, I just don't think you can get enough done in a week for a game like that to, make an interesting enough devlog on it.
So I've seen your latest video, Nathan. You've got plans to keep things slow, but keep things running. So you've got some ideas. Are you at any point going to consider changing up the content at all, or are you going to try and stick to this sort of slow, interesting topic based videos that you tend to do pretty well on your channel?
That's a really good question. So, I mean, we can do a whole YouTube workshop here if you really want to, because for me, like the reason why I did an announcement video the other day talking about basically like weekly we're on Playtest panel, because I know in my experience at least, if you upload consistently and you're able to have at least a good interest and people can almost, it's like a TV show, right? Like you want to come back each week, or a podcast, which this is what it is. That will have good growth. And part of me wanting to do that was that so that we could basically like build a business from it, and so that we could all, because you guys are my friends, I want us all to succeed. So I thought this is a good way of having more people on. We can do it weekly, and as the channel grows, we can all have responsibilities that basically benefits us. With all our devlogs and stuff. But for my main channel, like I've experimented with doing shorter videos, with doing long form, low effort videos, which are what the backlog banter videos were. But in my experience, at least with, and this is the thing too, right? Every single channel is going to be different depending on what your upload has been in the past. I experimented. I remember there was another YouTuber called Garbage, and he's like, or Garbage, like that's how you say it. And he was doing these really short, like 2-3 minute devlogs on this like Godot FPS game, and they were getting massive views. Like he was getting in like 100k views, and that kind of like, if you're smart, if you're frugal, just the ad revenue alone, that can keep you financially independent while you work on your game. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should do that for my Coco Loco devlogs, which I tried doing. But maybe it was partly because of the interest of Coco Loco, and I think also the channel before that had been, my face talking to the camera. Those only got a couple of hundred views. Where for me personally, right, I have found not only the videos that perform best, but the ones that I'm also proud of have been the ones that are a bit longer form, more scripted out, more highly edited. I did 3 videos for a sponsor, and I'm very proud of each one of them because I put in so much effort. Like, if every video could be sponsored, I would happily put in that much effort. For like week by week, I could easily do. But I couldn't do that week by week for regular videos. It had to be once a month. I think personally for now the channel is going to go in the direction of me as a creative and different ideas I have. And sometimes it'll include the games that I'm working on at the moment. Sometimes it'll include the conversation going around, because I found that's where my most success comes from. Like I did a video on Linux, and that one performed super well. In terms of, just saying, hey, I installed Ubuntu Linux, and here's what it was like for game dev, here's what it's like for content creation. And people, that's got like the most comments. A lot of my videos have gotten quite a while. It's got, 223 comments of just people, half of them calling me out and saying I'm stupid and an idiot and why would I do this, in terms of like this, the flavor of software or whatever. Like people just love to armchair criticize you. But the other half was just the interest in like people were like, yeah, I hate Windows. I want to move over to Windows. I also make games. It's good to hear that like this works or this works or this was an issue for you. I'll look into this myself. And like the videos I'm most proud of, I look at like I love doing TGX videos, going to game expos, going to PAX this year. Haven't announced that yet to anyone, but yeah, I'm going to be a creator at PAX and doing like, you know, stuff around that as well with other devlogs. But I also love, like I did a video called "What I've Learned After 10 Years of Game Dev," with just, you know, my favorite thumbnail, like me working alone at my desk with, you know, the text alone. That one as well. That one has had such a long life, in terms of like how long people have been viewing it for. That like it got a spike up, and for me, that was very much a video of just almost expressing as a developer, like what I've experienced, you know, as I say, like what I've learned. Videos like that, I think, when done correctly, can be really helpful for me as a person. Like it feels so good to get those things off your chest. But I also think it's interesting to people who have just started their journey, or, you know, even you guys as well. We love talking about, you know, our experiences so far, going to different conventions and working on different things, like just our game dev sessions we have during the week. It's basically those deep and meaningful discussions we have, but in a video format. And I think for solo dev as well, like no one else in terms of solo dev is really sharing those experiences. And I think that's one thing I kind of want to lean towards, of like being a solo dev. Here's are some of the things. And like, look, my biggest goal with the channel is basically to remain in people's headspace long enough so when my games are finished, they can buy my game and I can tease the next one, and I'll post another video once the game's finished, and, you know, and just have that cycle. Because yeah, I think with my own channel, it's definitely been an experiment. That like I love to experiment on my channel. I've never fully found something that I could consistently do and upload and you know, find success through that whole time. Maybe there were videos in the past I could have done more consistently, but honestly, like I just didn't find them interesting or engaging enough. Like for me, my big plan, my goal in life is to be independent and make games. Whether it's through Patreon or doing YouTube videos or just making enough money from my game that I can make the next one. And I think YouTube is that marketing tool, but also that part of like self-expression, where I can show my personality and people can almost empathize with me, and get that reach. Because I mean, even now when I make videos, I think about reach and people watching and stuff. And even my channel, right, although it's been somewhat successful, there's still such a long way to go when you compare to everyone. Like when you look at devlogs and people who are game devs on YouTube, there are so many devlog zeros, and very few of them make it to that level of like Danny or Jonas Tyrola or Thomas Brush. Like those are like, you know, you can maybe count them on like one hand. And yeah, so I think for me, at the end of the day, my channel is going to be kind of like what you want, Andrew. It's going to be an archive of my work and my life's journey. I don't know. You just got me on a crazy, weird, random tangent about what my channel even is.
It's absolutely fascinating. You know,
it's hard to express sometimes because, like, especially when we're doing art, it's like, and there's no established genre for it. Like, for example, like I think of Casey Neistat and his vlogs. Everyone knows how to do it like a Casey Neistat vlog, or everyone knows how to do a podcast because there's a bajillion of those. Those have been founded. But I still don't think we have properly found the formula or the winning formula for devlogs or game dev content. Everyone's doing different things, and I think there's almost not enough space. Once someone finds a thing, it's kind of theirs. We've seen podcasts and game dev podcasts are definitely one over in terms of Thomas Brush. Like he makes the best game dev podcasts, and no one else can get to his level just because of he's the first one. I think of like Thematrix and some of the other, you know, game devs that we watch with their devlogs. They've mastered it, and they have got a style that everyone would just. I think that's the other thing too. No, when people click on my videos, they don't know what they're getting. And when they subscribe, the next video probably isn't going to be like the last one. And that's an issue on me. And I think over time that will change. I've even seen that in terms of like just my content. Like we went through before, the videos I uploaded. Before it was like TF2, Minecraft, whatever. But now it's getting, I think we're getting closer and closer and narrower and narrower to like what my channel and content will be. But like in terms of like when you're thinking, what do I want to do when making videos about game development or devlogs? I think that there's lots of like inward looking, but you kind of have to do what Blake did, which was wing it. Because I found the most success when you wing it and do like just the bare minimum enough to throw things at the wall, and then you see what sticks, and you kind of follow that rhythm, and then eventually you'll find success. Yeah, it's I would just say there's no handbook for this sort of thing. It's just kind of play it by ear as you go.
Yeah. And I think that's the same with just about anything creative, or even in business. I think a lot of the time you just have to, you can only plan so much, and usually just, action is far more important than, waiting for the perfect moment for things to feel right, because things are probably never going to feel just right. You're never gonna have the perfect conditions to do something. I think you really just have to just dive in head first and see what happens, really.
I think the best thing I've heard recently is that most success in life is 98% luck. But you got to work really hard for that 2%. That's all on you. Like, you got to be ready for when that 9% shows up that you aren't 2% disadvantaged because you were stuffing around. Like, yeah. I think that's also another point of like, luck is a part of it at the end of the day, and that's something we have to kind of all accept. Of like, you can work as hard as you want, but like you're saying, Blake, like if you aren't taking the opportunities, you're never going to have that luck because you're waiting for something that you may have already missed.
Yeah, and like sometimes like you'll be sitting, like you won't be doing much. You'll be having a bit of a dry spell as far as putting out work, and you see these people who, you might think don't have the same skill level that you do, or aren't creating at the level that you are. But the difference is that the reason that these opportunities come to people is because they're just trying, they're just putting things out there, and I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I feel like if you put things to the universe, quite often if you have the right intentions, things just sort of come to you, I find. And those things will never happen if you just, are waiting for the perfect moment to execute. It's like, just do it right now. Whatever you're wanting to do, just start. There's never going to be a perfect time. Just get in and do it.
To segue, we're going to do the Unreal versus Unity debate. A bit of background. Blake has been using Unity his whole career. He's self-taught.
Just about 6 years.
Just about, yeah. Most
I
of
started
career,
with Game Maker, but yeah, switched to Unity pretty soon after.
You're self-taught and you've done pretty much fully Unity for the last 6 years. Most of your release games are in Unity. Nathan has done Unity, but he's fully switched over to Unreal just about a year ago. A big whiz. He's a big wizard and absolutely knows everything about it inside and out. I sit in the middle. I solo dev on Unreal, switch over to Unity when I'm working with most of my companies, and Jam uses it. So, and I've done a little bit of Unity in the past, so I'll sit in the middle. I've sort of been the mediator today.
That's actually crazy to me, though, that like as a solo dev, you use Unreal, and then Unity is for all the business stuff. Like that just sounds so backwards. But we'll dive into that and why that's the case.
All right.
I mean, how do you want to start it? I mean, I guess I think we should have this like an actual debate. So I want rebuttals and point cases.
Okay.
And Andrew, you can kind of moderate. And tell us when we're getting a bit of a hand. Mostly me, because you'll be like, Nathan, that's uncalled for. Unity doesn't suck that bad. But Blake, I want to hear your points as to why you think Unity is the better engine.
All right. Well, so I will start by saying I don't have much Unreal experience. So my opinion...
Blake, I don't want to hear it. Just tell me why Unity is the best.
All right.
I don't want this...
All right.
Why haven't you switched to Unreal, What's so good about Unity?
All right. Well, for one, I've been using it for 6 years and I'm extremely stubborn and I don't want to have to spend the time to learn a new engine. But beyond that, I think Unity is a very good blank slate of an engine, whereas I feel Unreal is very well suited to certain types of games. Like you have games with very high fidelity graphics, especially like first person shooters. That is something that Unreal, I feel like, is very geared towards. Whereas Unity, you can do that. It might take a little bit more work than Unreal, but I just feel like you have a wider breadth of options with Unity. Now, that is not necessarily true. You can basically do anything in either engine, but I just feel like Unity is a little more freeing. I feel like if I was to switch to Unreal, I would just be spending half my time turning off all the fancy little gadgets and all the special lighting and all of that sort of stuff. So there's that. Unity is also, I believe, quite a bit smaller to like in file size to download. Which a lot of people still don't have great internet. I live out in the country. And even though I just upgraded my internet to Starlink, it's beautiful. I love it.
Damn it, Blake. You just got rid of one of my points I was going to say. You already rebutted my rebuttal.
And my other point would be that Unity can kind of run on just about anything. I have a pretty decent computer now, but up until about 2 years ago, I didn't. And I tried to learn Unreal and the engine the frame rate was so bad and just trying to make something, not even running a game in it. I couldn't work like that. I can't work at that low of a frame rate.
Okay, I'm hearing nothing good about Unity, just that Unreal sucks and Unity's a better alternative because I can't use Unreal. Like, what does Unity have that Unreal does not?
What does Unity have that Unreal does not? Well,
so that's too hard of a question, isn't it?
I think
it is a little bit, because I feel like you can kind of get the results in either engine. They both can, you can export both to console. They both have a lot of similar inbuilt things, but each one I feel like has its strengths and its weaknesses. But yeah, would you like to say a couple of points on your side, and then we'll come back to me?
Yes,
before
I
Nathan,
would.
Before
Okay,
Nathan
Andrew,
goes on,
you go ahead first.
Here we
then.
go.
Just based on what you said, what does Unity have that Unreal doesn't? I think that in itself is a question. Like, I think there's so much in Unreal. Okay, and a lot of, as someone who uses Unreal and Unity, like there's a lot, like Unreal does a lot of things where it's like, hey, let's make the life better for someone, and they'll add something. It's pretty cool. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I haven't fully like explored both sides, but I do know that like you upload a skeletal mesh onto say Unreal, and then it has this in the import settings. It does this thing where like it pretty much creates a skeletal mesh. And in Unity, they don't really do that. So that as soon as you upload an animation, you can click, oh, pair this to the skeletal mesh. It's really cool for Unreal. But if you like don't want that, you don't want, say, like an animation to pair to that skeletal mesh, or you want this animation to be used on every skeleton, which I know it can be. You can use of retargeting. But with Unity, you don't need to retarget or anything. You can literally just chuck an animation to something else and it'll just work, even if it looks terrible because it's not using the same skeleton. So Unreal does this thing where it tries to make the life easier, and it does for some things, but for other things, Unity is so much more basic. You can kind of just chuck anything onto it and it will just work as a blank slate. So you can sort of like be more free with it. because Unreal just has so much in it that sometimes it does get insanely laggy. Sometimes I'm playing in the it's just the scene view, and it's just like, I can't move, help.
Okay. Is it my turn now to stop this
Yes.
Unreal slander?
Yes.
Now, I should say this in that my last video, I also mentioned that I'm going to move away from Unreal one day and make my own engine, because that's where we should all be. But until that day, I will stick with Unreal for a few reasons. Okay, you say this thing about Unity's easy and it's very adaptable and you can just work in it and do things. It's kind of like getting a propulsion rocket and duct taping a seat to it and then using a Fisher-Price steering wheel to steer it. It's possible in Unity, but should you really do it? Is it really production safe to do that? I think that one of the reasons I've loved using and learning Unreal has been because it is production ready. Epic Games produces Fortnite, and they use the newest versions of Unreal to produce that. And it's a lot of things, like I know a few updates ago, like when they implemented the water system for the entire engine, that was all first tested in Fortnite. Every major feature that they add to the engine is battle tested in Fortnite, which is cool because that goes onto everything. That's for PC, that's for consoles like the Switch, that's for mobile and Android. So the features they add work on all the platforms because it's been battle tested. When was the last time that Unity published a game and proved that the engine was battle tested ready? Because every single time I hear developers talk about, production ready Unity, there's always one thing that just doesn't work. Or they're like, we have to rebuild the whole thing because once you scale up the project, then you suddenly realize all these systems that we duct tape together don't actually work together when you have, 10,000 game things running through and whatever else. Like, I think, sure, Unreal can be slow at times, but it's very easy to optimize. Like, I think it's here's what my perspective is, right? Unity is fast and easy to, to produce content, but as soon as you scale up, then that speed, it's more like this actually. Yeah, you deteriorate in speed. Where Unreal is kind of, consistent. If not, you actually get a bit faster in certain aspects if you automate things or, whatever. Like I think what Andrew said, it's right in the sense that Unity will just let you put in animations without a skeleton mesh. But I reckon, and what's made me a better developer and programmer is that Unreal doesn't let you break stuff a lot of the time. If it's not working, it probably means you shouldn't be doing it that way. That's something I learned very early on. Where Unity, they'll be like, heck yeah, you want to get the vectors of a face image and then interpolate it, with some math? Go ahead, by all means. And then, you're suddenly realizing, why is everyone's computers crashing and blue screening when, I have a fire hydrant on my screen? Yeah, so that's kind of my rebuttal of I don't think Unreal's bloated. I think people call that out too much. I think it comes with more features to begin with, but in my own personal project, and I can testify to this too, right? Coco Loco, currently, actually, I can time it if you want, but opens probably within under a minute right now in the engine. Opens, if I click on Coco Loco right now and launch a project, it will open in about under a minute. I've disabled Bloom. I don't have Nanite. I don't have any of the big fancy things because I don't need it. Some of these things are on, by default, but it literally is just one session. It's like the exact same. It's the opposite, right? If I opened a Unity project and needed HDRP installed, I have to install the things and turn all the things on. Instead, it's the reverse of I'm uninstalling all the stuff and turning all the stuff off. I felt when I was recently working with Blake on a Unity project, I had to wait longer for compile times and for the launching of the engine because of just the way that it works. I feel like there are elements in Unreal that will take longer, but that's when it's baking stuff. When it's baking lighting, you leave it. But that's because it's doing some pretty cool math stuff. And you do the same thing anyways in Unity when you're doing baked light maps or whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff, especially if you're just using blueprints, it is basically instant. And Blueprints is a whole other thing I can go on about because if that isn't just like a designer's crack programming languages, I don't know what is. Like Blueprints is the best. It's not perfect, but damn, am I more productive because of it.
I gotta say, I do love Blueprint. There's a lot of
Like,
Blueprint slander. Um, I've used both. Blueprint is nicer, definitely, especially as a model, like a more 3D and visual person. Blueprint just works
okay,
like
but
bread
I'm
and
gonna ask
butter.
you a question. Have you ever been programming in C sharp and you're trying to reference a certain component, but it's just not working?
I mean, it's usually my own fault if that's happening. I don't
Yeah,
blame the engine.
it's usually your own fault. But you see, there's this beautiful thing in Blueprints where if you're trying to reference a component, you basically get the object and you drag it out, and it has a big list of all the different actions and functions and nodes you can use.
Right. Well,
And so instead of having to guess, do I get the character controller? Do I get the sphere mesh? I'm trying to think of like examples of what you would get. I remember I had heaps of issues when I was doing UI of like, what image do I get in like a UI component, or what do I get the color? In Unreal, you just drag it out and it just has the list right there for you.
so when I first started Unity, or first started learning Unity, I had to pick whether I was going to learn to program in C Sharp or if I was going to learn some sort of visual scripting asset. I think at the time Playmaker was the big one. Unity now has, I believe, their own built-in solution. So I did some research, and there was one comment I found on the internet somewhere that made me want to steer away from any sort of visual scripting for the rest of my life. And it basically said that programming, like in C Sharp or any other language, is essentially like writing a text document where you can just type, which it is, but visual scripting is essentially like trying to write a sentence where you have to drag in every single word from a drop-down menu. And I heard that comment, or I read that comment, and I've picked C Sharp, and I've never looked back since.
Propaganda.
Okay. How do I put this slightly? So my I'm trying to think of a way to say this. I agree on certain aspects. Sometimes if you are writing, especially when you get to very core systems, or you're got heaps of code that's like referencing its single self, technically code is better. And that's when you'd use, for example, for us, for C++, like that's what you'd use. However, I will say Blueprints almost is the visual representation of what I see in my mind when I'm programming in C Sharp. So when you're programming in C Sharp, you have functions that might be calling to classes and doing all these other things. And when you're programming, I don't know how you guys think of it when you're programming, but I like to visualize how everything is working as a system together. Do you guys do that?
I actually do know what you mean. Before I did Blueprints, it's not exactly how I remember it, but it's basically how I imagined it. It sort of like this goes this and this like a sort of like a to-do list of like how the program would run it. That's basically, I mean, if you just put every node on top of each other, that's how Blueprints work. So
yeah. So for me, Blueprints has been awesome because it basically visually, like, it doesn't exactly, well, actually it can. It can, if you use the referencer. I'm trying to figure out what angle to go here. Sorry, guys, you'll be worked up, and so now I'm sorry to the viewers. Yeah, so Blueprints, I think, and I also think Blueprints is based. Oh, man, people are gonna fact check me and be like, actually, it's not. In my personal experience, Blueprints has been faster than working in C Sharp.
Interesting.
I'm being controversial here. You could prove me wrong, but I personally have found C Sharp to be slower in compiling things. And like when you're refreshing things. Yeah, I mean, I guess programming stuff we can talk about forever and probably disagree on. But like yeah, I don't know, Blake. What are your rebuttals and what are your other thoughts about why Unity's so good?
So you made a video a while ago on Unreal's Fab, right? That's their new fancy.
Okay,
Right.
bringing off the gloves now, aren't we,
All
Blake?
right.
We're just gonna.
So now their asset store, which is the Unreal Marketplace, have they combined the marketplace and Fab into one thing?
Yep. So they closed the marketplace, and it's now just Fab.
Right. So how's that going?
It's actually great.
Right.
Okay. Hey, here's what I'm gonna say. The integration in the engine, like all systems from big corporations, whether it's Unity or Unreal, has its growing pains. Because I'm pretty sure, Blake, from memory, if it serves me correct. Sorry, I'm getting a weird audio thing. Does the Unity Asset Store work in Engine and Unity now? Or is it only the asset viewer you can see? So you can't go in and purchase Unity assets in the browser in the engine anymore, can you?
As far as I'm aware, no. It used to be like that, but
It used to be, and then they removed it. And now I can't buy assets anymore. I got to go launch, and I thought that was the poor point. It was all integrated.
No, I think
Anyways.
it's way better being able to do it just like in Chrome, like, and then just opening your assets in the engine. Like I just find it so much simpler and easier. It is a little harder going from like
say.
opening the package manager and getting it to load in all of your stuff like straight away can be a little bit of a headache sometimes. However, I am on an older version of Unity, so maybe all that is fixed now.
I just don't think I miss the days of going through the asset store and being able to, because you'd see the sales, and there's always good sales in the Unity store. It was easy to search things up, and it was also easy to tell things apart. Because I tell you what, sometimes I have similar assets, and I don't know which one is which, and you got to scroll through and look at the photos, and you go on the screen all the time. Fab, right, is fantastic because it's not just the Unreal Marketplace anymore. You've got Unity assets now as well. You've got 3D models you can use in Blender. You've got stuff in Unreal. And they're also, I don't know if they've, or maybe they have incorporated it. Yeah, they've also got things like, is it Sketchfab? That 3D modeler online store that will basically have a bunch of free 3D assets I use all the time. They've also incorporated that into like the big Epic ecosystem. And you've also got Megascans. Which Unity doesn't have any Megascans.
I will never use a Megascan in my life. I just do not see what the purpose of using something like that is. Explain to me what a Megascan is exactly.
It's a highly detailed 3D realistic model, textures, and materials, and decals.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having to build a complex tree stump yourself, it's there for you. It's got a whole bunch of... It's all free.
It's all free?
I mean, not for you because you missed out on the free promo, unfortunately. But you've had a good 6 years, so your loss, I guess.
I mean, I can feel
awesome.
I feel like it would benefit all the people making like the body cam games, but like outside of that, how many people are making like super ultra realistic games?
But you don't even need to use ultra realistic because it's got things like grass and brick textures, and those are very easy just to descale or derez. There's the high intensity models and stuff, but you've also just got a whole bunch of like dirt materials and grass materials and anything you can think of that you can use. So also it's just better, I guess.
It's just better. Yeah,
it's just better.
I mean, I feel like you're a lot more prepared for this than I am. Maybe if I had have known we were definitely going to get into this, I would have done a bit more research, and I could probably give a few better points here and there. But
we can come back next
every
week
other
to
Unity
this.
dev. It's like, man, if only I was more prepared for this. If only I knew about the policy changes with runtime fees. If only.
Well, okay, we haven't got into that yet, but do we want to get into that? Is that something
We
something
can come
we
back
want to
next
touch
week. You can have a list, and then we run it back.
But no, like, okay, just to like round off the conversation, I think you're right in this. Like, for me, the best tool for the job is the best tool that works for you. Like, I used Unity for years and I tried to learn Unreal, but it just wasn't meshing with me. And then eventually at some point I used it and was like, hey, actually, it's meshing with me now. And that's the same if you use anything else. If you use Scratch, if you use GameMaker, if you use Godot, whatever the engine is, if you're just like, all these engines suck, I'm going to build my own, then that's the engine for you. I think like the biggest thing that people need to come across is like, that's the thing, right? Like I kind of pull the Unreal stand sort of thing of like Unreal's better, but at the end of the day, right, I'm going to be just as critical on them as a company and as software than I will be on Unity. Like the reason why I want to build my own engine is because of the policy changes. Like right now, games are free to make in Unreal until you make like $1 million in revenue, but that could change. Right now, Fortnite's doing good, but it hasn't been doing the best. Like they're kind of plateauing, and that's why you've had things like Mega Skins no longer being free. That's why you've had things like a bunch of layoffs that happened at Epic Games, and I can see a day where Fortnite longer brings in the money, and so then Unreal Engine stops being free entirely. I can see a future where we all have to pay for a service for tools that, you know, some of us may not even finish the projects in. And Unity, okay, I've seen them do some fantastic strides. I've tried Unity 6 with Blake project that we both a project Blake and I both worked on. And it was better than what I was using back in like the 2021, 2022 versions in terms of its performance, its stability, and it was nice being in C#, but there were also I still agree with my verdict in saying that Unity is great for prototyping and small projects, but as soon as you start to upscale and really want to almost future-proof or production-proof your project, you just got to switch to something that's a bit more consistent. Because I've heard of teams who've like, there's this single issue in Unity that they can't fix and they need to work on the game. At least in Unreal, if there's an issue, they can... The engine's source code is available for you to make changes. So if you find the issue, you can pinpoint it exactly. Unity's still great. Unreal's still great. But I think at the end of the day, everything has limitations. Everything has limitations. There's not a perfect engine.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no perfect engine. I think it's just picking what fits best for what you want to make. You know, I have, I believe, 5 released games all made in Unity. So, you know, I don't have many negative things to say about the engine. Like, without Unity, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast. You know, all the things that have happened throughout my, you know, quote unquote career wouldn't have happened without Unity. So I love it. It's I've spent more time in it than literally any other program in existence. And yeah, I think it's great. But each to their own. And I really think it does just come down to what you need out of a game engine. Obviously, there are other few little things you might want to consider, especially, you know, what's going on with the terms of service and what the company's up to and things like that. They are certainly concerns. In, you know, if that is a big concern for you, maybe looking at something like Godot, you know, might be a better option. But, you know, for now, I'm going to stick with the Unity. I'm sure you're going to stick with Unreal. And I guess we'll just see how our games turn out.
Yeah, whoever makes the most money wins.
Yeah.
I guess gonna make a PS1 horror game then, and so we can compare. Like I said, I think PS1 horror is a cheat code in some ways, but also not because it's saturated.
It wasn't back in the day when I started. There was like 2 other people doing it.
You did it before it was cool, Blake.
Yeah, before I reckon 2020 was when it like really took off, and now everyone and their grandma was making PS1 horror games. But yeah, I was there relatively early. I was definitely not one of the first, but before it got oversaturated for sure.
Well, this engine talk, but I think at the end of the day, I think Thomas the Tank Engine is the best one. Okay, is that all we had time for?
There's one more thing we need to talk about. It's really important. Peak had an update,
What?
and they added cannibalism.
I heard about
Whoa.
that. I wasn't
They
sure if
added
it was
cannibalism.
real.
That sounds like
It's
something I would
real.
add.
Yeah, it's real. What happens is, if you as a player get hungry, your team members start looking like roast chickens.
That's real.
and then
I
you
didn't
can
know that
press
was. I
E
thought it
on
was
them,
fake.
and then they'll die. Like, it's the most cartoony, pure way, but like, it's real. If you get hungry, your teammates look like roast chickens, and then you can eat them.
Wow.
I thought it was
Wow.
going to be a thing where, like, if they died, you can eat them. That's what I thought people were kind of proclaiming for. But now you can just eat them.
Wow. It's probably going to get
Hey.
banned in Australia now. Cannibalism.
You're so right.
I thought it was fake. It's very funny. It's just I saw videos. You hold it, it just turned to a skeleton. Yeah.
Did you guys see the thing where I guess it was real? The developers are speaking through what's
Bing Bong.
the Bing
Bing
Bong?
Bong, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
was
yes, I
that
saw
real?
that.
Yeah, they're doing it to, like, Twitch streamers and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not us. Not us.
Not us, not yet.
Oh,
It's okay, we can do it for our own games.
yeah.
If
We'll
they
be
if they
sentient
did do
devs.
that to us, we could like ask them to like fund our projects. That'd be pretty cool.
But hey, can you guys publishing or you guys deving? We need to talk to some guys. But yeah. I just thought I'd note that too because, our friends Slop Game and stuff we love playing, which, yeah, cannibalism. It is very much a Blake feature.
I might add it to my game actually. That sounds like a good idea.
You gonna turn into roast chickens or?
I remember, Blake, when we were talking about a scary game idea, we were thinking, like, what health kits could we do? And you're like, what if it's the people you kill? And I was like, oh, it's a bit far, bro. But, I reckon you'll add it. You'll eventually add it, whether it's in your current project or another one.
I think I'm speed running trying to get my game banned in my own country at the moment. So, yes, sky's the limit, really.
Now just make 16-year-olds or under play it as well. That'll also get it banned. Add a chat feature,
You want to be able to put it on Steam or itch.io?
Well, then it's going to be a wholesome farming game now, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else
true.
is getting banned.
Yep. No porn games for you guys.
Nope. You filthy, dirty people. Disgusting. I mean, I guess that's it, right? That's the episode. What a weird tangent we went on, man. Don't ever bring up YouTube to me ever again because that's a trigger word for me now. I just start rambling. I'll just tell you, like, the origin of the universe and how YouTube's related to it. But good chat with Unreal. And sorry, Blake, to throw you under the bus. But maybe you come back again for notes. Maybe there'll be some comments on here that can help back you up. Or we can get a full debate going. That would be so fun. Have a full panel of like 3 and 3. Yes.
Yep, let's
We're
do
doing it. If you are Team Unreal Unity, comment down below and we'll be in contact with you to get you on a full engine debate. I think that's what we need to do.
Oh god.
Sounds
And
good.
Andrew, you
Round
can moderate. Round 2. Let's go.
I gotta get a protective helmet on. Safety vest and all.
That's good. All right, cool. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, then hit subscribe for weekly uploads, and as well follow these guys as well. I've been joined by Blake and Andrew. We'll see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.